So I never used to make any decisions, and that is a true story. I used to always go with the flow. I always let other people make the decisions on, what to do, where to eat, and even like when it comes to like personal decisions that I should be making, 99% of the time I will defer to someone else and ask them, hey, what should I do? And, oftentimes they'll give me the answers and then I just go with that. But on top of the lack of decision making on my end, I think it also came from a place of fear and a lack of assertiveness, and really the lack of confidence in trusting my own judgment. And because of that, I think it was just a lot easier and a lot less scary and a lot less risky for me to kind of hide behind someone else's decision. So, that, whether the outcome is good or bad, I wouldn't have to face that reality that, oh, hey, like this is the result of my decision. Instead, I could just be like, oh well, I didn't really make that decision, and at the end of the day, it's someone else's decision. So yeah, I am not kidding when I say that I used to rarely make any decision for myself on my own. And I've heard of this one concept from personal development experts. I think it was Brian Tracy or Earl Nightingale or someone in that realm. And the concept was basically the more decision that you make, the more likely that your life will turn out the way you want it to be. So I heard of that a long time ago, and at the time I understood that on an intellectual level, and it made sense, right? Because the more things that I do that I want to do, then that would only be rational that the results in my life would kind of turn out more in favor towards the direction of how I want things to be versus just kind of taking a more passive role. But I never really applied this concept into my own life because, like I said, I rarely made decisions for myself because I was not confident in my own judgment and abilities. And it wasn't until very recently that I started resonating with this concept more and started applying it to my own life. And that is because of changing life circumstances and me kind of like being out on my own, and just the fact that I no longer wanted to play such a passive role in my own life. And also the fact that, I realized I was this 30-year-old person who rarely ever made any decisions in his own life. So I think the combination of all those factors really sparked something in me to really push me out of my comfort zone and step into courage and started making more decisions. And this all happened very, very recently. So it's still very much something that I'm learning to do and putting into practice. So if you think about this concept of the more decisions that you make in your life, then that means your life will have a higher chance of, I don't know, like turning out the way you want it to be. Like if you think about that concept, it makes sense, right? Because life is life, and we are surrounded by external factors, right? So everything, like any and everything, right? The moment you step out of your house, you are bombarded with external factors, right? The people that walks the street, right? The buses that passes you, the circumstances that you face at work, at the grocery store, like whatever it is, we are bombarded with external factors. So we are constantly reacting and responding to what we are faced with on a daily basis. But I think the role that we choose to take or not take can significantly influence kind of the outcome of our day and ultimately our lives. So if we just take a look at this on a more micro level, right? Say we take a short span of time, let's just say the morning, right? So example one would be we take the passive approach and we make very little decisions to dictate how we want our morning to turn out to be. For example, like if I choose to wake up and just kind of roll out of bed, go to the bathroom and scroll on social for an hour, maybe, eat some cereal for breakfast, scroll on social some more, and just kind of laze around throughout the whole morning, scratch my ass, and then before I know it, it's lunchtime, right? So that's one example of a morning with a more passive, minimal decision making approach. And in example two, if we take a more proactive approach where we are intentional with making many decisions, it could look something like this. I can wake up in the morning and take 2 minutes to stretch, right? Make my bed, maybe eat a little breakfast, maybe meditate for 2 minutes because it lowers my stress level. Maybe spend 5 minutes cleaning out my workspace, going for a 10-minute walk, and spending, I don't know, 30 minutes posting on social or writing a script for a YouTube video because I want to build my brand and outreach. So in that immediate moment, there are immediate benefits, right? Like such as taking a walk to get my blood flowing and, increase my energy. And then there are benefits that I will not see until way later, like, creating videos and, posting on social to hopefully build my brand and outreach. But I mean, that's exactly what this concept is really about, right? Because the more decisions I make, the more I'm kind of stacking the cards in my favor. If I don't know if that's the right phrase, but the more decisions I make because I believe they will help me towards my goals and the things that I want, then the higher chance that I will succeed at doing and accomplishing those things. And the less decisions that I make, well, obviously, the less work that you put in, the less likely you are to achieve your goals. But it's really the less decisions you make, the more you react to external factors. And the more decisions that you make, the more you proact, if that's the word, the more you dictate and the more you create. To quote that famous book title, You Can't Be Neutral on a Moving Train, life is literally like that. Just because you don't do anything or you don't make any decisions, it does not mean you will stay exactly where you are. Like, you will not remain neutral. If you think about the US dollar, right? Historically, it inflates about 2-3% a year. So just because you hang on to that $100 today, it does not mean it will be worth $100 next year. So if you hang on to that $100 bill, next year it might only be worth $97, $95. But if you choose to do something with that money and invest it into, whatever, stocks or whatever, that $100 could potentially gain monetary value or lose value if you invested in Shiba Inu. Basically, my point is the less decisions you make, the more you will be molded by the external world, right? It's kind of like the less you speak up at work, the more you're gonna be told what to do by your boss because you fail to give any input or any objections. And the more decisions that you make, the more likely you are to make your visions come true, your goals come true. The more you speak up at work because that is what you truly feel, the more likely you are to, make those things happen. Even though you might have to fight for it and, even though you might not get it every time, you are moving the needle more towards your favor. And any goals, whether they're big goals or small goals, I don't think it's really about the one big, gigantic, moment that caused your massive breakthrough and success, but rather, I believe that for the overwhelming majority of people who have success, it's really about the micro but massive quantities of decisions that they make consistently over time that creates their success. So, with that being said, let's get it!